This room gets such nice sunlight, doesn't it? Perfect for a home office, right? Michael said, his voice tinged with excitement. Yeah, and it even faces the garden. Lovely, I replied, trying to match his enthusiasm. We were touring a newly built house with Michael's mother, Ellen. The real estate agent, Sarah Thompson, led us through the elegantly designed spaces, pointing out each feature with practiced ease. It had been 3 years since Michael and I got married. We had saved diligently for a home of our own, and today we were checking out several houses for sale near the station. Michael and Ellen seemed particularly taken with this property's modern design and spacious layout. Please feel free to check out the second floor as well, Sarah suggested, gesturing towards the staircase. As we started to head upstairs, Sarah gently grabbed my arm. Can I have a word with you in private? She asked, her tone suddenly serious. Puzzled, I followed her outside, leaving Michael and Ellen to continue their tour. Sarah took a deep breath before speaking. I'll get straight to the point, she began, her eyes locking onto mine. Your husband? He's having an affair. I felt the ground shift beneath me. What are you talking about? I managed to utter, disbelief coursing through me. Sarah's expression was solemn. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but he was here just a few days ago with another woman. They were looking at houses, talking about starting a new life together. The shock was like a physical blow, leaving me reeling. The sound of my shattered trust seemed to echo loudly in the silence that followed. I can help you gather evidence if you need it, Sarah offered, her voice softening. I nodded, barely processing her words. Thank you, I said mechanically. I need some time to think. Returning inside, I found Michael and Ellen discussing the kitchen layout, their voices filled with excitement. I felt like an outsider, watching a play where I no longer knew my part. That evening, as we drove home, Michael chatted happily about the house, completely oblivious to the storm raging inside me. I remained silent, lost in my thoughts, planning my next move. I knew one thing for certain: I would not let this betrayal go unpunished. Michael and his mistress would soon learn that I was not a woman to be trifled with. The next few days passed in a blur. I played the role of the dutiful wife, smiling and nodding at the right moments, all the while a tempest of betrayal and anger raged inside me. My interactions with Michael were carefully measured, a mask of normalcy hiding my true feelings. I reflected on our marriage, once a source of comfort, now a well of deception. We met at work, two professionals climbing the corporate ladder. Our relationship was born from mutual respect and a shared desire for a child-free life. It was a partnership, or so I had thought. Michael, what do you think about inviting your mother over for dinner this weekend? I asked one evening, keeping my tone light. She seemed really excited about the house. Great idea, Elena, he responded, not looking up from his phone. She's been really supportive lately, especially with the house hunting. Ellen, his mother, had always been a thorn in my side. Her intrusiveness was suffocating, yet Michael was blind to it. I recalled her words at our first meeting. At your age, not even planning to have kids? Her judgmental tone still echoed in my ears. The dinner was an exercise in restraint. Ellen's criticisms of my cooking, thinly veiled as suggestions, were more frequent than usual. Elena, dear, you really should try to learn some of my recipes. A way to a man's heart is through his stomach, after all. I'll keep that in mind, Ellen, I replied, forcing a smile. Michael was oblivious, laughing and chatting with his mother as if we were one big happy family. His ignorance to my discomfort only fueled my resolve for revenge. After dinner, while Ellen prattled on about the virtues of motherhood, I excused myself, citing a headache. In the solitude of our bedroom, the full weight of my situation hit me. The man I had trusted, the life I had built, it was all a lie. I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, plotting my next move. My thoughts were interrupted by Michael's snoring beside me. I turned to look at him, his face peaceful in sleep. The sight of him filled me with a mixture of sadness and disgust. The following day, I contacted Sarah Thompson. I'm ready to start gathering evidence, I said, my voice steady. Good, she replied. I'll help you in any way I can. I hung up the phone, feeling a sense of empowerment for the first time since that fateful day at the house viewing. Michael and Ellen had underestimated me. They would soon learn the cost of their deceit. The incessant chime of the doorbell jolted me from my thoughts. It was Ellen, predictably early for her unsolicited daily visit. Her presence in our home had become a constant, smothering intrusion. "Good morning, Alina. I brought some ingredients. Thought I'd give you a cooking lesson today," she announced cheerfully, marching into the kitchen. "I had plans today, Ellen," I said, striving to keep my voice calm. "Nonsense. A wife's place is in the home, especially when there's so much to learn," she chortled, dismissing my words. As Ellen prattled on, I felt a surge of resentment. This woman, who had been a thorn in my side since day one, was now an accomplice in her son's betrayal. The hypocrisy of her traditional values while she sheltered a cheating son was infuriating. Later that evening, I confronted Michael. "Your mother's daily visits are suffocating me. Can't you see that?" Michael shrugged, indifferent. "She's lonely since the separation from Dad. It's no big deal, Elena." "No big deal? It's our life she's meddling with," I retorted, my frustration boiling over. "Relax, Elena. She's just trying to be helpful. You could learn a thing or two from her," he replied nonchalantly, turning back to his laptop. His dismissive attitude was the last straw. I knew then that my plan for revenge couldn't be mere retribution. It needed to be a lesson, a punishment fitting for their deceit and arrogance. The next day I met with Sarah again. "I need solid evidence of the affair, something irrefutable," I told her, my resolve steeling. Sarah nodded, understanding the gravity of my request. "I'll do what I can. This isn't just about a house anymore, is it?" "No," I replied, my voice cold. "It's about justice." As the days passed, the charade of normalcy continued. Ellen's visits became more overbearing, and Michael's detachment more apparent. The house they were so excited about now felt like a symbol of my entrapment. One evening, I overheard Michael on the phone, his voice hushed but excited. "I can't wait for us to start our new life together," he whispered. The confirmation of his infidelity was a knife to my heart, but it also fueled my determination. I would no longer be the silent, accommodating wife. They would soon learn that underestimating Elena Martin was their gravest mistake. The days were tinged with a cold, seething anger, hidden beneath a veneer of routine. Every smile, every conversation with Michael felt like a performance, and with each passing day, the mask grew heavier. Sarah Thompson called me one afternoon with a tone of urgency. "Elena, I've got something. Can you meet me?" At a quiet cafe, Sarah slid an envelope across the table. Pictures of Michael and her, and their conversations about the house. It's all there. I braced myself as I sifted through the photos and transcripts. There he was, my husband, with a woman half my age, looking at houses, planning a future. My heart raced with a mix of sorrow and rage. "Thank you, Sarah," I said, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. "This is more than enough." Returning home, I found Michael in the living room, absorbed in his phone. "Another long day at work?" I asked, masking the bitterness in my voice. "Yeah, just catching up on some emails," he replied without looking up. I sat across from him, the evidence burning a hole in my bag. "Michael, there's something we need to discuss about the house." He finally looked up, interest piqued. "What about it?" "I was thinking maybe we should reconsider our options. You know, make sure it's the right choice for us," I ventured, watching his reaction closely. He frowned slightly. "I thought we agreed on that house. It's perfect for us." "For us, or for you and your plans?" The words hung in the air, a challenge left unspoken. Michael's expression faltered for a moment, but he quickly regained his composure. "What are you implying, Elena?" "Nothing," I replied, my voice calm. "Just thinking out loud." The conversation shifted to mundane matters, but the air was thick with unspoken truths. That night, I lay awake, the images of Michael and his mistress etched into my mind. The pain of betrayal was sharp, but it paled in comparison to the burning desire for retribution. The next morning, Ellen arrived with her usual pomp. "Elena, you look tired. You should take better care of yourself. For Michael's sake." Her words were like a poison, each syllable laced with hypocrisy. "I'm fine, Ellen. Just a lot on my mind with the house and all," I replied, keeping my tone neutral. As she busied herself in the kitchen, her presence felt more invasive than ever. She was not just an overbearing mother-in-law. She was an accomplice in her son's deceit. I made a decision then. My revenge would not be a simple confrontation. It would be a reckoning. Michael and Ellen would pay for their betrayal, not just with their relationship, but with everything they held dear. The stage was set. The actors were in place. The final act was about to begin. My days were now consumed with meticulous planning. Every move, every word was calculated for the impending showdown. The evidence Sarah had provided was safely hidden, a secret weapon waiting to be unleashed at the right moment. Ellen's visits had become intolerable. Each day she brought with her a wave of condescension and interference, thinly veiled as maternal concern. "Elena, you really should start thinking about having children. Time isn't on your side, you know," she would often say, a smug smile playing on her lips. I bit back my retorts, knowing that soon enough her smugness would crumble under the weight of her son's deceit. One evening, as I prepared dinner, Michael's phone buzzed incessantly on the counter. Curiosity got the better of me, and I glanced at the screen. Messages from her, the other woman, filled the screen with affectionate emojis and plans for their next meeting. A cold fury settled in my chest. How could he be so careless, so utterly disrespectful to our marriage? The facade of our relationship had become a grotesque parody. The following day, I met with a lawyer, outlining my situation and presenting the evidence. "I want to make sure that when I strike, it's decisive and final," I told him. The lawyer, a seasoned professional in marital disputes, nodded in understanding. "We can file for divorce on the grounds of infidelity. With this evidence, you have a strong case for a favorable settlement." "Good," I replied, a sense of grim satisfaction settling over me. "I want him to pay for what he's done, not just legally, but personally." Meanwhile, Michael continued his charade, oblivious to the storm brewing around him. His casual indifference to our marriage only fueled my determination. I started to plant seeds of doubt in Ellen's mind about Michael's fidelity. "He's been working late a lot lately. Do you think it's just work?" I asked her one day, feigning concern. Ellen laughed it off. "Michael is a dedicated worker, Elena. He's doing it for your future together. You should be grateful." Her blind trust in her son was almost pitiable. She had no idea that the pedestal she had placed him on was about to crumble. As the day of confrontation drew nearer, I felt a mix of dread and anticipation. I was about to shatter the life I had known, but in its place I would build something new, something free from lies and deceit. Michael and Ellen were about to learn a harsh lesson in betrayal and consequences. The storm was ready to break, and I was its harbinger. The day had finally arrived, the day of confrontation and revelation. I had everything planned down to the last detail. The evidence was ready, and my resolve was ironclad. Today, Michael and Ellen would face the consequences of their actions. In the morning, I acted as if it were any other day, concealing the storm raging within me. Michael left for work with a casual goodbye, unaware that his world was about to shatter. Midday, I received a text from Sarah. "It's today. They're meeting at the house this afternoon." My heart pounded with a mix of anxiety and anticipation. This was it, the moment of truth. I arrived at the house ahead of time, the property now a symbol of betrayal. Hidden from view, I watched as Michael and his mistress arrived, laughing and holding hands. The sight of them together ignited a fierce anger within me. I waited, biding my time until Ellen arrived. As expected, she came, beaming with pride and excitement, oblivious to the deceit around her. It was time to unveil the charade. Stepping out from my hiding spot, I confronted them. "Hello, Michael. And you must be the woman he's been cheating with." Michael's face drained of color, shock and fear replacing his usual confidence. His mistress looked at me, her eyes wide with surprise and guilt. "Ellen, did you know about this? About your son's affair?" I asked, my voice steady despite the tumultuous emotions inside. Ellen stared at me, then at Michael, disbelief etched on her face. "What? No, that can't be. Michael!" I didn't wait for his response. I pulled out the photos and messages, evidence of their sordid affair, and handed them to Ellen. "See for yourself." The air was thick with tension as Ellen rifled through the evidence, her expression turning from confusion to horror. "Michael, how could you?" she stammered, tears welling in her eyes. Michael tried to speak, to explain, but his words were a jumble of excuses and lies. His mistress, now realizing the gravity of the situation, began to back away, only to be stopped by my cold words. "Don't think you're innocent in all this. You're as much to blame." Turning to Michael, I let out all the pent-up anger and betrayal. "I trusted you, loved you, and this is how you repay me? With lies and deceit?" Ellen, sobbing, looked at me, then at her son. I raised you better than this, Michael. How could you do this to us? In that moment, I saw the family facade crumble, the perfect image Ellen had of her son shattered by his own doing. This marriage is over, Michael. I'll see you in court, I declared, my voice unwavering. As I walked away from the house, leaving Michael to face the wrath of his mother and the reality of his actions, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. The storm had broken, and I was finally free from the lies that had bound me. The days following the confrontation were a whirlwind of legal proceedings and emotional upheaval. My lawyer was efficient, ensuring the divorce proceedings were swift and decidedly in my favor. The evidence of Michael's infidelity left him with little ground to stand on. Throughout it all, Ellen remained a shattered figure. Her once overbearing demeanor had been replaced by a quiet, almost meek presence. She tried to reach out to me, her voice laced with regret. Elena, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. I met her apologies with a cool detachment. It's too late for sorry, Ellen. You chose to turn a blind eye to your son's actions. Now you must live with the consequences. The settlement was more than generous. I secured a significant portion of our shared assets and a sizable alimony. As for Michael, the revelation of his affair had not only cost him his marriage, but his reputation as well. His career took a nosedive as whispers of his indiscretions spread through our professional circles. On the day the divorce was finalized, I felt an immense sense of liberation. I was no longer bound to a man who had so callously betrayed my trust. I was free to start anew on my own terms. I decided to move out of the city, away from the memories and the people who had been part of my former life. As I packed up my belongings, I came across a photo of Michael and me in happier times. A bitter smile crossed my lips as I tossed it into the trash. That chapter of my life was over. In my new home, a quaint house in a quiet town far from the hustle and bustle of the city, I found peace. The pain and anger that had once consumed me had faded, leaving room for new beginnings. Ellen reached out occasionally, her messages filled with remorse and a desperate hope for reconciliation. I never responded. Some wounds were too deep to heal, some betrayals too great to forgive. Michael, too, tried to contact me, his messages a mix of apologies and pleas for understanding. I deleted them without a second thought. He was a part of a past I had left behind. In the end, justice had been served. Michael and Ellen had learned a harsh lesson in the consequences of deceit and betrayal. And I, Elena Martin, had emerged from the ashes of my broken marriage, stronger and more resilient than ever before. As I sat on my porch, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and pink, I knew that this was just the beginning. A new chapter in my life was about to start, and for the first time in a long time, I was excited for what the future held.